Welcome to Elevate Springfield, where we will dive into strategies and stories that help you rise to your full potential. Each episode, we'll talk about how you can take intentional steps to elevate your life and your business while making a meaningful impact on those around you. Along the way, we're going to bring in the change makers from our community that are already elevating. We'll bring the actionable strategies, you bring the discipline and follow through, and together we can elevate Springfield.
All right, let's go, Springfield. Time to 10X, time to level up. Hey, you are listening to the Elevate Springfield podcast, coming to you from the Big Dog Construction Studio in beautiful downtown Springfield. Robert Ferriell here, certified 10X coach, speaker, and mentor, here to bring you actionable strategies. You bring the discipline and follow through, and together we're going to elevate Springfield. Well, hey, you are listening to the Wellness Upgrade on Elevate Springfield, where we're going to bring you specific strategies to help elevate your health and wellness. Hey, if you're not elevating your health and wellness, you're not going to be able to elevate in all other areas. This is the baseline. You know I'm passionate about it, and you know that's why I brought this segment to Elevate Springfield. We want to thank our friends over at Shudokan Karate Club here in Springfield. Sensei Dennis and his team, over 50 years in the Springfield area. Traditional karate, teaching self-discipline, confidence, community. Traditional, powerful, real. That's Shudokan Karate Club here in Springfield. Check them out. ShudokanKarateSpringfield.com. We're going to get right to our guest after the break.
When I first walked into Shudokan Karate Club, I was just looking for a way to get stronger, but what I found was so much more. Here we train in traditional karate, the real stuff, passed down through generations. Every punch, every kata has purpose. I've learned self-discipline, confidence, and how to protect myself. Not just in class, but in real life. It's not about being aggressive, it's about being prepared. This is more than a club, it's a way of life. Join us at Shudokan, traditional, powerful, real. Ki!
And we are back for another edition of the Wellness Upgrade, brought to you by our friends over at Shudokan Karate Club in Springfield. Sensei Dennis and his team, over 50 years in the Springfield community. Traditional, powerful, real. Hey, my daughter has been a part of Shudokan for over 5 years. Highly recommend what they have going on. Check them out, no matter the age, from kids to adults. There's a class for you. So solo segment today. You guys know that I am very particular about my health and wellness, so I thought I'd take today to talk about some of the health and wellness basics that I do on a daily basis. You know, no fads, not really hacks, no, one thing to cure all, but some fundamentals that consistently improve energy, strength, and long-term health. Because here's the thing, it's that daily discipline. It's those things that you do each and every day that are going to provide the best bang for your buck when it comes to health and wellness. I know there is so much information out there, and it's easy to be overwhelmed by conflicting advice. What I have found, it's simple solutions that are going to work for most everybody out there. You do these simple things, some of these fundamental things to help improve your health and wellness. And then if you want to start dialing in some of the biohacking that we talk about in some of the episodes and some of the more precise methods, that is fantastic. I love getting into all that too. But for the vast majority out there, it's simple solutions. It's the basics that you need to get nailed down first with those daily decisions that you make every single day. So we'll talk a little bit about clean eating, organic foods, grounding, cold and heat exposure, some of the strength training I do, nutrition in general, a little bit of supplementation, and just some basic things you can do to help one, kickstart your health and wellness journey if you're kind of at a stall, or kick it into the next gear. If you've already started and you want to get a little more precise, we can talk a little bit about that too. So with any of this, it all starts with good nutrition, clean eating, not a diet, but more of a lifestyle change to clean eating. You can't overcome a bad diet by working out. Our bodies are simply machines, not simple machines, but we are simply machines, and we need to have good inputs in order to get good outputs, just like a machine. So when I'm looking at nutrition, I'm looking at, the cleanest thing I can have to put into my body. See, processed foods are engineered for convenience and profit, not for your health. Oftentimes, they're stripped of nutrients, loaded with a bunch of bad oils, a ton of added sugars, preservatives, artificial flavors that quite simply confuse your metabolism and can inflame your body. So when clean eating to me means cutting out that processed junk and relying simply on whole foods. Because when you remove those processed foods, some incredible things can happen to your body. Your blood sugar can stabilize, your cravings decrease. You will see this rather quickly. When you cut out all the added sugar stuff, a lot of those cravings will decrease. Your energy improves, and of course, your digestion improves. So when it comes to processed food, good rule of thumb, hey, if it comes in a box with a long ingredient list, it's probably not going to be that good for you. So, hey, focus on the basics. Focus on the things like meat and vegetables and fruit, right? Nuts, some grains. Stay out of the boxed items, and you're going to be much better off. Now, that doesn't mean that you can just eat as much as you want when it comes to the clean eating, because our bodies still are, like I mentioned, are machines. So inputs, outputs. If you have more input than you have output in terms of calories expended, you're going to gain weight. If you have more calories expended than what you take in, you're going to lose weight. Our bodies are machines. That is a simple formula, but this is the basics of all of it. Proper nutrition. Now, for me, I focus on different types of meat as well. So we'll talk about, the importance of protein here in a little bit. But again, meat, vegetables, fruit, grains, nuts. What you'll find is when you start snacking on vegetables and things like that, you're quite frankly not going to eat as much. It's a lot harder to eat a big bowl of broccoli than it is to eat a bowl of chips. Those chips can go quickly, right? And the caloric intake of that compared to a bowl of broccoli is astronomical. So stay away from the processed stuff. Focus on whole foods. And now this can be a big change for people, quite frankly. Our society has delved so deep into convenience that these processed foods make up a lot of people's diets. So it can be a bit of a change for you, but it is a worthy change. It is an investment in your long-term health. Since I've cut all that out, I have found that I have much more energy. Those cravings decrease, blood sugar stabilizes, digestion improves. Everything. You'll be amazed on how you feel simply by cutting out all the processed junk and going to whole foods. And with that, I'd focus on organic whole foods. And just buying organic, it's not about being trendy. It's not about just getting it because that's what's getting popular right now. It's about reducing toxic load. Many conventional foods are sprayed with pesticides, herbicides, chemicals that disrupt hormones and can burden your systems. So over time, that matters. Eating it once, not going to matter much, but over time, it will. With many things, we talk about how the dosage determines the poison, but long-term dosage matters too, not just having a bunch of it all at one time, but that long-term exposure is not good for us. So organic whole foods reduces your exposure to those chemicals, often contains higher nutrient density, and it can support gut health. We've talked a lot about gut health with Kylie Melvin from the Primitive Prairie, how important your microbiome is. Now, a lot of times when I'm talking to people about organic food, many times the cost comes up, the price of it. But here's the thing. You need to think of this as an investment, not just in your health today, but how your body functions for years to come. And also, I think you'll find a lot of times with organic food, if you're looking at simple swaps, especially on the processed side, so if you're going from regular chips to organic chips or regular cookies to a fancier organic cookie, right? Yeah, those things are more expensive. But I find if you focus on the staples, on the nuts, on the grains, lentils, vegetables and fruit and meat, it's not as big of a difference as you might think. Now with meats, it can be. Meat can be significantly more expensive on the organic side than on the non-organic side. However, here locally, if you're around Springfield, there are some great farms around us that have pasture-raised meats for a really good price. We use Bland Farms out of Jacksonville, get some really great meat from them. We also use Gross Farms. They have beefalo over there. Both of those places raise their animals the right way on pesticide-free farms, and you can get that for a really cost-effective price, not that much more than conventional meats. But again, if you're thinking of it as an investment in yourself, in your health, you're going to do that anyway. And I also think what you'll find is when you cut out all that processed crap that you have, all those boxed things that you have in your cabinets, all those sweets, all those extra things that you have been buying, you cut all that stuff out, you might find that your grocery bill is actually a little bit lower, even getting organic staples. When you're looking at organic oatmeals, organic lentils, organic nuts, organic vegetables, they are not that much more expensive than their conventional counterparts, and it is worth it. So everything I can, I buy organic, and I would recommend you guys do the same. Let's talk for a second about macros as part of that larger nutrition discussion. One of the most important macros that people are more deficient than others is protein. So when we're talking macros, we're talking protein, we're talking carbs, and we're talking fat. If someone is deficient in one of the three, a lot of times it's protein, and protein is essential for muscle repair, hormone production, immune function, satiety, all those. And quite frankly, most people, especially adults, don't eat enough proteins. Many of the experts I talk with talk about having at least 30 grams of protein per meal. Now, one thing that I've always done, especially when I'm weight training a lot, is have at least a gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 180 pounds, you'll be getting 180 grams of protein per day. And typically that's a gram per pound of ideal body weight. So if you're wanting to be 180 pounds, you get 180 grams of protein. Now, many times people will use protein shakes and things like that, but quite frankly, I don't really like protein shakes. And I think a lot of times many people buy the protein shakes that have too much added sugar in it, too much other junk, and you're getting your protein, yes, but you're getting a bunch of junk that you shouldn't be getting along with it. So if you are going down that road, make sure you're getting clean protein, the kind that doesn't have a ton of added sugar, binders, artificial flavors, and all that other stuff that's in there that needs to be out of, quite frankly, everyone's diet. So protein sources I typically use. I use eggs every single morning for breakfast. I typically have chicken for lunch as part of a salad. And then in the evening, I'll have some kind of red meat. Typically, it's either bison, beef, beefalo from gross farms like I talked about earlier. The beef I get is from Bland Farms, and if I get straight up bison, it's normally from North Star Bison out of Wisconsin. But here lately I've had a lot of gross farms and Bland Farms, trying to get as much of my meat local as I can. And I get every bit of that gram per pound of body weight. On top of that, instead of doing protein shakes, I also use amino acids. We'll talk about that in another segment, maybe go a little deeper with one of our experts, but they are essentially the building blocks of protein, and they do a ton for your body. But just make sure you are getting enough protein in your diet. That especially helps when you are starting to cut calories. If you're trying to lose a little bit of weight, keeping that protein intake high or even bumping it up a little bit higher will help you stay fuller for longer. So some of the other things that have some protein, of course, you got meat, fish, eggs, yogurt, nuts, things like that, lentils. Those are all great ways to pump up your protein. So let's talk about supplements. Go through some of the stuff that I use. This is one area, and we've talked about this with Dr. Sammy from Wagner Chiropractic, is many times people, they hear this supplement's great, they hear that supplement's great, so they go ahead and grab that supplement and start taking it, not knowing that if it's really going to be good for them or not. Now, baseline, everybody should be taking some kind of multivitamin. I've been taking a multivitamin for many, many years. Just make sure you get a quality multivitamin. We talked about that with Dr. Sammy as well. Hey, go to Food Fantasies if you're here locally. They've got some good stuff. Go to Pure Encapsulations online. They've got some good stuff. The 10X Health stuff is great. Use them for years. There are so many good options for supplements. Don't just head down to a big box store or the drugstore. Typically, those supplements they have there do not really get absorbed into your body, and you are simply wasting your money. So make sure you have multivitamins that are third-party tested, have everything in there that they say they have in there, and make sure you're taking one of those every day. Some of the other things that are pretty common, magnesium. We've talked about that with Dr. Sammy. We take that every single day. Everybody in my family takes magnesium. There are a ton of different benefits for that. Check out that supplementation segment with Dr. Sammy for that. That is one that I take every single day. So for my supplements, it's simply a multivitamin. I take some NAC, and then I also take magnesium every single day, because here's the thing, you don't need to take a ton of supplements. Supplements should supplement, not replace real food. When you start getting a clean diet, when you're eating a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit, and a lot of meat, high quality, nutrient dense food, you're going to be getting most of those vitamins and minerals that you need in there. And when it comes to minerals, one thing that I do, a lot of people like to take electrolytes. I don't like to take prepackaged electrolytes, because most of the time, again, they have a bunch of junk in there that I don't want, either added sugars, artificial flavors, things like that. So for that, I simply use a little Baja Gold sea salt every single morning, put it in 8 ounces of water, drink that down, and that'll give me some of those minerals that I need right there. One thing you can do with supplementation is there are a ton of different companies out there right now where you can get blood tests or genetic tests. Blood tests will tell you where you're at on your levels right now. So you can tell if you are vitamin D deficient, you are magnesium deficient, whatever. So when you get that data, you can make the decision for you if you need to take a supplement for it or not. If you have a low level, yeah, you probably do, right? So get the data you need, and the price of those tests have certainly come down quite a bit. So, but without taking that, you're really not knowing if a supplement is good for you or not, or if you should be taking it, or where your levels are at. All right, so nutrition, supplementation. Next thing up is getting that body moving, working out. I've been into strength training for a long time. My typical workout routine, work out 7 days a week, but 6 of those 7 days are strength training. I like to work out in the mornings. I like to get mine done before I get out of the house for the day. So the way my strength training routine works is every Sunday I'm doing core. So I'm hitting abs really, really hard, the entire core on Sundays. On Mondays, go into lower body. So I'm doing legs, a lot of squats, lunges, things like that. Tuesday, roll into chest. Wednesday, roll into back. Thursday, we're going to do shoulders. And I forgot to mention on Wednesday that it also includes traps when we're talking about back. I also do traps. Thursday, we're doing shoulders. Fridays, we're doing arms. That's biceps and triceps. A lot of people like to separate those. A lot of people do a push-pull type of routine, but I have always liked to do biceps and triceps on the same day, so that's what I do. That's where I've found the most success, so that's why I do that. And then on Saturday, no weight training, but I still do cardio or some kind of heavy bag work. So 6 days a week of strength training. Every single day I do some kind of cardio, whether that's walking, jogging. If you haven't done any heavy bag work, it's boxing work on a heavy bag. I've got one of those here at the house. That is a phenomenal workout. Do that at least 3 or 4 times a week. Also have a climber and also have a rowing machine that is a phenomenal workout as well. So it's 6 days a week of strength training, 7 days a week of cardio. Main thing is you need to be able to find what works for you cardio-wise. Strength training, everybody has their own splits that they like to do in terms of what body part and when. You do need to find out what works for you, but that 6-day split has been great for me over the years. Some of the best cardio workouts I've found, running is always great, but I've found that rowing, using a climber, and the heavy bag are some of the best cardio workouts, and seen some of the most significant results using those methods. As an aside to that, if you do a lot of walking or jogging as part of your cardio, one quick thing you could do, and we've talked about this in one of the other segments, is after each meal, one of the easiest ways to improve your metabolic health is to do 10 to 15 minutes of light walking. Helps regulate blood sugar, improves digestion, and it can also reduce post-meal fatigue. You don't have to do intense cardio. I wouldn't say that I do super intense cardio all the time. A couple times a week, I'll do more high intensity. It is not completely necessary for you to get to the goals you want for yourself. Part of that walking, it's a good rule of thumb. We've talked about it before. Many people have talked about it before. That 10,000 steps a day is a good baseline that everybody could get each and every day, and it'd go a long way to improving that long-term health. So when it comes to working out every single morning, part of that routine, I've talked about my morning routine extensively on the show before, but part of that routine is cold and heat exposure as well as grounding. So grounding, or earthing, you might have heard it called, is the practice of connecting your body directly to the earth. So that means you can walk outside, make sure you do it barefoot on the grass or on sand, make sure you are touching the soil. There's also grounding mats you can have, but the best thing you can do is just go outside. I do have a grounding mat for some of those days like we've had recently where we had a foot of snow on the ground. Having that grounding mat inside certainly allows me to continue on my grounding when we have days like that. But grounding can help reduce inflammation, improve sleep, regulate the nervous system, lower stress. Even just a few minutes a day with your bare feet on the grass can calm your body and bring you back into balance. I can literally feel it when I go out and put my bare feet into the grass. Next thing to do as part of my morning routine is that cold and heat exposure. This has become rather trendy lately, but for good reason. Cold and heat exposures are examples of intentional stress on your body, the kind that makes you stronger instead of weaker. So cold exposure, like you can do with a cold shower or a cold plunge. We've talked a little bit about this with Brennan from Malum Health Maximization, if you recall that. But cold exposure improves circulation, boosts mood and mental resilience, and can support metabolic health. So the way I do this is I do have a cold plunge, but in the wintertime when it is really cold outside, your shower could be cold enough to make this happen. Now, if it's above 50 degrees outside, even that groundwater is not going to be cold enough to really make a difference, and you would want to do the cold plunge. Then on the flip side of that, heat exposure, like saunas, which I have a sauna that I do every day, supports detoxification, improves cardiovascular health, and promotes relaxation and recovery. So again, I do this every day, typically between 15 and 30 minutes. Some days I'll do a shorter session. Other days I'll do a longer session. But for you guys out there, if you're just starting on either of these, cold exposure or heat exposure, you don't need extremes. You don't need to jump right in for the long sessions of cold or the long sessions of heat. Start small. The goal isn't to make your body completely suffer. The goal is to train your systems to adapt. The other big thing is sleep, and we've talked about this extensively with some of our other guests, but it is vitally important to get good restorative sleep, especially if you're working out a lot and everything. You want to make sure that you are doing everything you can to restore your body, and that is through sleep. So make sure you're recommend 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Make sure you're doing the things before you go to bed that will calm your body and get you in a place to where you can get good sleep. We'll talk about that more on another one, and we have talked about that a little bit with Dr. Sammy from Wagner Chiropractic, but don't do all this other stuff and then only get 4 hours of sleep. It's not going to be good for your long-term health. So I could go on and on about all of this, but I'm going to leave it at that today. Some of those basics, remember, clean food, move your body, strong muscles, do weight training, do some resistance training, get that cardio in, daily movement, get outside, do some grounding. Create these habits, create the discipline to do this stuff day in and day out. It will support your body, especially that clean diet. Once you clean up that nutrition, you're going to find that you are supporting your body rather than fighting against it. So get disciplined, get consistent with all these basics. Happy to talk with any of you about it and more about some of the successes I've had with these methods. But get disciplined, get consistent with all these little things. They will go a long way to your health and wellness today and into the future, because that's why I do it. That's why I am so passionate about my health and wellness, because I want to make sure I am here for the long haul with my kids and their kids. So get after it, y'all. Be right back after the break. Hey, Springfield, when it comes to reliable, high-quality roofing, you don't want to leave things to chance. That's why you should reach out to Acosta Angeli Roofing, your local roofing expert serving Springfield and surrounding communities. From quick, dependable repairs to full replacement, from residential to commercial, they are your trusted pros. Call them today at 217-993-2748 or visit their website to book your free quote and inspection. Don't wait. A little leak now could lead to major damage later. Trust the local experts, protect your home, and get peace of mind with Acosta Angeli Roofing. Well, thank you for joining us today, everybody. Appreciate you making us a part of your day. Hope you're enjoying these quick hits of actionable strategies here on the Wellness Upgrade on Elevate Springfield. Thank you again to Shudokan Karate Club. Hey, take what you learned today. You bring the discipline and follow through, and together, that's right, y'all, we're going to elevate Springfield. Be great. Looking for expert tree care with hometown integrity? Look no further than Sangamon Tree Service. They're your trusted local pros, delivering quality workmanship, exceptional customer service, and fair, honest pricing every time. Whether it's trimming, removal, or storm cleanup, their team brings professionalism and care to every job, big or small. Call the name your neighbors trust, Sangamon Tree Service, or visit them today at SangamonTreeService.com. Sangamon Tree Service, rooted in quality, built on trust.